We find ourselves between the late 18th and early 19th centuries, a historical period of extraordinary intensity that marked a turning point for the whole of Europe. It was a time of profound political, social, and cultural transformations that reshaped the continent's map and mentality. At the center of this whirlwind of events is the charismatic and controversial figure of Napoleon Bonaparte. His rise is meteoric, characterized by brilliant military campaigns that lead him to dominate much of Europe. He transforms an entire era, establishing a vast empire that imposes his hegemony. The impact on Europe was both devastating and innovative, upending the pre existing order now frozen and obsolete. Napoleon, albeit with authoritarian methods, championed the ideals of the French Revolution. These ideals, among which liberty, equality, and fraternity stood out, spread forcefully to every corner of the continent. However, alongside the promise of these universal values, we witness the imposition of a new order based on central power and imperial authority. This dichotomy between revolutionary ideals and the reality of Napoleonic domination will be a source of great debate and disillusionment. His legacy is complex, a mix of legislative innovation and political subservience. Parallel to the Napoleonic era, and in close relation to it, a far reaching artistic and cultural movement developed, Neoclassicism. It embodies the aesthetic and intellectual response to a period of great change. This movement draws its deepest inspiration from the art and culture of classical antiquity, both Greek and Roman. There is a burning desire to rediscover the purity, grandeur, and perfection of those distant eras. Neoclassicism emerged as a vigorous and decisive reaction to the decorative excesses and frivolity of the Rococo, as well as the drama and theatricality of the Baroque. It sought a return to the essential, to harmony. The values promoted by Neoclassicism are rationality, order, and balance, principles that partly reflect the Enlightenment's faith in reason. Added to these is the pursuit of ideal beauty, a universal and timeless beauty, based on aesthetic canons of proportion and harmony. This movement found multiple artistic expressions, from architecture with its clean lines and majestic columns to sculpture, which emulated the perfection of ancient statues. Painting and literature in turn adopted this new sensibility. The neoclassical style is characterized by impeccable formal clarity and rigorous symmetry. Its depictions favored historical and mythological themes, often with moralizing and educational intent. In this complex historical and cultural context, the figure of Ugo Foscolo emerges, one of the greatest exponents of Italian literature of the period. His life and work are inextricably linked to the tumultuous events of his time. Foscolo was deeply connected to the revolutionary and patriotic ideals that had inflamed Europe with the advent of Napoleon. He firmly believed in the possibility of a free and united homeland. However, Foscolo experienced firsthand all the contradictions and bitterness of the Napoleonic era. The Treaty of Campo Formio, which ceded Venice to Austria, was an irreparable wound for him. This disillusionment led him to the painful experience of exile, a recurring and central theme in his work. The loss of Italian independence and the betrayal of the ideals of freedom left a profound mark on his soul. His works, therefore, are not mere literary exercises, but an authentic and tormented reflection of his personal experiences and shattered ideals. His literature became a means of expressing his vision of the world. Among Foscolo's most emblematic works is The Last Letters of Jacopo Ortis, an epistolary novel that represents a manifesto of Italian pre-Romanticism. It is a work pulsating with passion and desperation, still resonating powerfully today. The plot tells the story of Jacopo, a young Venetian patriot whose life is marked by profound disillusionment with the Italian political situation. His homeland, Venice, has been ceded to foreigners, extinguishing all hope of freedom. In this climate of frustration, Jacopo falls madly in love with Teresa, a woman already engaged to be married. The impossibility of realizing his love, combined with political bitterness, drives him to take his own life. The novel's central theme is exile, understood in two dimensions. On the one hand, physical exile, the condition of those forced to live far from their homeland, wandering restlessly. On the other, an even deeper exile, internal exile, the loneliness of the soul that feels alienated from the world around it. This suffering is caused by the loss of his homeland and the shattering of his ideals of freedom and justice. Jacopo embodies the archetype of the romantic intellectual tormented by passions and afflicted by a profound and inexorable melancholy. He is aware of the impossibility of realizing his dreams, both political and sentimental, in a world he perceives as hostile and corrupt. De Sepolcri is a poem, an epistolary poem, written by Foscolo during a period of profound existential and civic reflection. This work represents one of the pinnacles of neoclassical and pre-Romantic Italian poetry. The poem's main theme is the civic function of memory, understood as a force capable of overcoming oblivion and giving meaning to existence. Foscolo conducts a profound analysis of the relationship between the living and the dead, exploring the ethical and social value of remembrance. The role of memory is fundamental to building national identity and transmitting civic and moral values to future generations. Without memory, a community loses its roots and its ability to progress and recognize its history. The tomb, which at first glance might seem only a place of pain and oblivion, is transformed into Foscolo's poem. It becomes a symbol of continuity, a tangible and spiritual link between past, present, and future. It is not only the abode of the dead, but also the guardian of their virtues. The memory of great men is seen as an inexhaustible source of inspiration for new generations. Through monuments, works of art, and the living memory of their deeds, the values of civilization are preserved and passed down. They inspire sacrifice and greatness. Foscolo's vision assigns a crucial role to the intellectual, that of guardian of memory and promoter of civic values. It is the intellectual who, with his words and his wit, must preserve the memory of the great and inspire the nation. He is the one who, through poetry, defeats time and oblivion. The poet thus becomes an ethical guide, a point of reference for society, capable of keeping the spirit of a nation alive. De Sepulchri is not only a tribute to the illustrious deceased, but a hymn to life perpetuated through memory and virtuous action. It is a work that invites reflection on the profound meaning of human existence.